Oh, god damn it, not again. Who is that? Is it Josh J? Other brothers? Okay, I'm sorry. Look it. How about I show you a magic trick, you let me go? Okay. Do you have a cell phone with you? Open the cell phone and go to the calculator. Do you know where the calculator is? I'm sorry. Just open it. Now I want you to multiply a bunch of single digits together. Just don't multiply 1 or 0. We know how that's going to end up. And just hit randomly and then hit equals. I want you to memorize one of the digits you're looking at. Just don't memorize 0. That's also just a given. That's an easy one. So just memorize one of the other digits. And then I want you to name out all of the other numbers there in any order that you want to. One at a time. Ready? Go.
0, 8, 8, 8, 1, 6.
The number you are thinking of is 5. Okay, look it. How about I teach you how to do it and then you let me go, please. Okay, it's very simple. We're just using a mathematical principle using nines. When the spectator is putting random digits in, as long as they hit 9 or a multiple of 9, this trick will work. So 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 6 is 18, or any number with 9, it'll work. And the chances of them doing that is very high since they're just putting in random digits and they won't put in 1 or 0, so they're bound to hit one of those combinations. After they do that, they're going to pick any number. They just can't memorize 0, and I'll explain why at the end. So they're going to read all the numbers to you. You're just going to add them up in your head, and when they get to 2 digits, you'll reduce them to a single digit, and then subtract that to 9. So that number, or 9 minus that number you're thinking of, will get you the number they're thinking of. I'll show you. Name the numbers out loud. 1.
6.
6. 1 plus 6 is 7, so 7 is in my head.
8.
8. 8 plus 7 is 15, so I add 1 plus 5 is 6, so 6 is in my head. 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. I add 1 and 4, that's 5. So 5 is in my head. 8 plus 5 is 13. I add 1 and 3, that's 4. So 4 is in my head. So now I know 4 is in my head, so I go 4, and I take 4 away from 9, so 9 minus 4 is 5. So I know the number they're thinking of is 5. Now, you can either reduce it when you get there, or you can keep adding all those numbers up, and when you get to the end, you just divide it by 9, and that'll give you the answer, which is 5 still. Now, they have to think of one of those numbers, not a 0. And the reason why is, if the number I'm thinking of in my head equals 9, that means they're either thinking of a 9 or a 0. So instead of taking that 50-50 guess, I just eliminate 0 completely right at the very start. And nobody ever thinks about it. So now, if I know 9 is in my head, I know the number they're thinking of is 9. Now, if this doesn't work, that means they did not hit a multiple of 9 when they were putting in random digits. And there's a very easy solution to this. You start up again, you say, well, let's try it one more time. I want you to take any 2-digit number and multiply it by 3, then multiply it by 4, then multiply it by 5, multiply it by 6, and now pick another random 2 or 3-digit number to multiply, and it equals. Now, because they've done 3 times 4 times 5 times 6, in the middle of that, 3 times 6 is in there, which means it will work, I promise you. So you can also do this via text message. You can text somebody, multiply a bunch of random single digits, and then send me all those numbers, but memorize one of them and don't share that one with me. That's your secret number. And then you just respond with that number. It's so simple. Does that make sense? Okay. Can I go? Ow. Oh, God. I bet you it was stupid Nathan Fan or Chris Mayhew. Welcome to Expert Phone Technique. Here you're going to learn my signature routine, Alice in Wonderland. It's a trick that I've been working on for over a year. I've been fooling magicians and laymen alike. Now, the reactions I get with this are incredible. Why? Because I borrow an iPhone from a spectator and I proceed to do one of the most amazing pieces of magic you will ever see. Guys, welcome to Expert Phone Technique. What did I get? Ooh, a Target. Buy clothes. Sweet. Okay, I'm gonna borrow your phone. Okay, I'm not going to push any buttons. I'm not going to open the your pictures and find everything. I put the orientation lock on so that when I tilt it, it won't turn. But later on, you're going to forget. If I remember, I'll turn it off. I'm going to show you real magic with a phone. Okay? People don't think it's possible. We'll use my lucky number 7. Watch very carefully. Nothing in my fingers. I just wipe. You see that 7 disappears the other way. And it goes off.
I don't understand.
I can do it, but you can't. Watch, try it. You can hold it if you want. You can try swiping. You'll see that the 7 doesn't. I know, I'm watching you struggle with this, but that's okay. You see, it doesn't matter how hard you try. Yeah, see, that's just going to copy it's very simple. You just do a very light touch. Watch. And then I can come up and steal the 7. Now, I have 1 7 here, and I have 1 7 here. If I toss it up, I can catch that 7 back. I just have to give it a little flick, and that 7 disappears. If I shake the phone, you'll see that the 7 complete disappears. But that's my lucky number. Your lucky number may not be 7. Do you have a lucky number?
Let's do 3.
Let's do 3. Do you want 4 3s or just 1 3?
4 3.
4 3s. Increase your luck. Very nice. We'll do the 4 3s. All right. Some people think I'm hitting a button on the back, but I'm not. So I'll clear the 3s. Very simple. Very simple. I'm going to hit 3 4 times. 3 4 times. But I'm going to put my fingers as far away from any of the numbers as possible. You can see they're on the very tips, on the very edges. I'm just going to give it a shake. On 3, those 3s will appear. That's 2. That's 3. And you'll see that the 3s appear. You'll try swiping. You'll notice, try swiping it. You'll see that the 3s don't come off.
Wait, so you were like, I'm going to do it lightly.
Lightly. Try it.
So lightly. I don't understand.
No, it doesn't. Look, it's very simple. You just look at, if you see the 4 3s, you just give it a little flip and the 3s disappear.
I want to know.
It doesn't work. I know.
How did you do that?
It's magic.
Don't break your phone.
All right, here is the trick that we call Alice in Wonderland. It stands for a lent iPhone calculator. Eerily what is it? Insubstantiates numbers with 1 number disappearing every round. Lastly, all numbers disappear. Don't half-ass that title when you come up to me at a convention or something and say, you better name it Alice in Wonderland. If you say the whole thing what it is, I will sign your baby. Okay? Whatever you want, I'll do. Because there's no way I'm gonna remember that. That's not the point. Here's the point. The point is, this is the best trick ever. Let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to borrow the phone and you're going to hit orientation lock on it, because you don't want the phone to turn off or to go into scientific mode once you do that. So I always say at the beginning to remind them, because I've had people come up to me afterwards and go, why can't my phone turn? And I say, remember I told you? And they go, oh yeah. So now it's all on them. This works for every iPhone. I did it with like 3 updates ago. Someone hadn't updated their phone in a long time. Still works. So as long as Apple doesn't destroy me, half this trick will still work. You can't do it on the Android. That is key. It's iPhone only, as you can tell from the title of Alice in Wonderland. Has to be an iPhone, because there's this interesting feature where, let's say I hit 6 instead of 5 and made a mistake. If I swipe in any direction, the last number disappears. Doesn't matter. Very light touch. It just happens. So we're abusing that. Now, this was shown to me by a magician from China named Tiger Magic. He was very great. He was very wonderful. He showed me a lot of things, and this was one that stuck with me, and I thought I could come up with a bigger routine for it. He only showed me how to lock it, and I thought, there's more to this routine. So I spent a whole week kind of playing with this, and now it's exactly what you saw as the full routine, and it's exactly how I do it. Freddie can tell you, any magician has seen me do this, it's 100% the way I perform it. For real people, I do it at walk-around events. You borrow a phone. If somebody says, hey, do you have a deck of cards with you? I go, I don't. Like, oh, I want you to show my friends something because you do magic. This is my go-to thing. It is so strong. It's quite amazing. So we're going to abuse the white principle. And since it's the same number, you can't tell what number is disappearing. So it's going to feel like the farthest number to your left is disappearing. So I'm going to just swipe it, and you see it takes it off. And it's the same thing as just doing that. So it looks like that farthest number. What's key is to not flash it so you can see it disappear. You can see that that doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like it's disappearing. It looks like the phone's doing it. So I always aim for the number next to the one I'm trying to make vanish. So I'm going to aim for the third one. So that way my thumb really covers that entire number as it disappears. That happens in my right hand. Then I'm going to go to my left hand, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to aim past that number over here, so you can't see that 7 vanish. You don't want to do that because you can see it vanish. Go past it and come by it, and you'll see it doesn't look like anything. Now the reason I have it in my left hand is because my thumb is right here to hit 7-7. Now in order to lock the phone so somebody else can't wipe it, you're going to hit equals. And there's so much misdirection in this. You saw it on the video. After you do the third one, right, my thumb's right here to hit equals. I hit equals as I transfer it. So now it's in my left hand, ready to go because I need my thumb to hit 7 in the moment. So now that I've hit equals, it locks and you can't actually swipe it anymore, no matter how hard you try. So then in a relaxed beat, I tilt the phone back up to me and my thumb hits 7 twice and then comes back down. It's really fast, so it doesn't get out of play very, very fast. I'm going to put the phone again. I'm going to wipe. This is Subtlety by Jordan Gold. So for the last one, I'm going to wipe and then pull up. And because I've wiped, it disappears, and then I can pull up, and it doesn't matter because nothing happens when you pull up. But you have to, in order to make it disappear, you have to go a little bit to the side and then come straight up. And now it looks like the number can also get swiped up. So it goes here, comes straight up, and now I pretend to hold the 7. And this is very key. I say there's 1 7 here, and my middle finger is right next to the 7, the first knuckle. If I bend it, my finger's going to hit, the pad of my finger is going to hit the 7. So we're going to abuse that by going here, comes up. I'm going to hold the phone here with my middle finger right in place to see the 7. I say as I throw the 7 and my middle finger's right there, I'm going to hit 7 on the phone, toss up, and then pull the phone down. Now I move my fingers out of the way so you don't think I hit the 7. It's very, very subtle. So it goes here. I say there's 1 7 there. I've now hit the 7, toss up, and now the phone is, my fingers are under the phone. So there's no way I could have hit it. And you saw how big of a reaction that gets. And I play off that energy and I immediately go into the next vanish. I don't want to slow down anymore. The second that reappears, you kind of go, oh my goodness, this is a magic trick. And it doesn't seem like software anymore. At first this is like, oh, it somehow locks. But the second you go here and make that reappear, it feels like magic. So you want to ride on that energy. So now I'm going to hold the phone so it's sideways. And usually upside down. You can do it this way, but you want to go this way, upside down. And you're going to make it look like you flick that 7 off. So the way to do that is you can't do this and try to get the pad of your finger to hit the 7 as you flick. It does not work. So what I do is I have my thumb and my middle finger, my thumb and my index finger, and I'm going to swipe and then flick. So I'm really doing swipe and then flick. And the flick is hiding that little swipe. You see I do it multiple times. Swipe, flick. Swipe, flick, and you'll start getting a grasp of it. So it just does that. So it doesn't even look like I'm stopping. It shouldn't look like swipe and then flick. You'll see, and it just looks like it goes right off. So now I write on that energy, because people are still freaking out, as I'm going to put the phone in the same position in my right hand as I did to hit the 7, but now I'm going to move it up so I can hit clear. And I'm going to shake the phone, and as I shake it, I'm just going to hit clear and then lower my fingers just a little bit. So at full speed, it looks like this. Now the 7 disappears. And in slow motion, I'm going to hit the clear button, and it disappears. That always gets a reaction. So that's the first half. You can just do up to that much if you want. It really gets a good reaction. You can go back to the same 7s and clear it. A variation on adding the 7 back I've come up with. So after we make it disappear, instead of hitting the 7, you can hold that 7. Ooh, go away. You can hold that 7 and just drop it onto the screen. And what that is, I still did it up even though I have to. That was weird. My palm is covering my middle finger, which is going to hit 7. But you can still see the 7. And as I open my hand, my middle finger is just going to hit the 7. So it looks like it gets dropped on. I would normally do it right here, so it looks like it gets dropped. And then my middle finger is going to hide after I drop. My middle finger is going to try to sneak right back down so that when I move this hand, there's nothing in the way. The next part is a variation on, I'm going to find his name so I can credit this correctly. This next is a variation on Code Breaker by Michael Murray. It's a Penguin download. Michael Murray and Gregory Wilson have this thing out. and I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just going to show you how I use it. I recommend purchasing that. Download is very good. I just looked it up. It's on sale right now. It's like half off. It's very good. I promise you, you're going to use it. Someone has showed me it and used it a lot. And it's a really fun trick to use. So this is kind of using something similar, but not in any way, shape, or form the way they're using it. So now I'm going to make whatever number they say appear. And it's just a formula that may be displayed right here next to me in post. You're going to hit any number plus any number and hit equals. Then when you hit clear once, if I hit equals again, the second set of numbers I put in will come back. So the way I'm going to abuse this is after I finish shaking the phone and the 7 disappears, I'm going to hit 0. Because I hit 0, it looks like no other buttons were hit. So you couldn't recreate this if you just watched it, because you will miss that I hit 0. And I'm going to say, what's your favorite number? Now, sometimes they'll say a single digit. If they say like 3, I'll hit 3 4 times. If they say 7, I'll hit 7, or 8, I'll hit those 4 times. But sometimes I've gotten, someone says 52. So I'm going to hit plus, and then I'm going to hit that number. And it happens so fast that you don't really see me hit the plus. And I'm just going to hit 52, and it kind of goes under the radar. So now I've started half that formula. One number plus another number, A plus B. So if I hit equals right now, which is the entire formula, it's going to flash a little bit. So to hide that, let's say 52, so as I tilt the phone to say there's no buttons on the back, I'm going to hit the equals with my thumb as I turn the phone over. So we'll do that in real time. There are no buttons on the back. I've just hit the equals button. I come back. And now the formula is almost set. The next thing is I just have to hit clear. And now the formula is set. If I hit equals one more time, that number will come back up. So I'm going to do that by putting my fingers out of the way, but my thumb is really close to the equal sign. And in slow motion, I'm going to reach over and just hit equals really fast. And you'll see that the number comes back. So one more time, I'm going to hit 0, which is A plus B, which is whatever number they name. I'm going to hit equals as I turn the phone over, and then I'm going to hit clear. And now all I have to do is hit equals, and the second number I hit will come back, which is 52. So I'm going to shake the phone, and you'll see that, like, even in the video, you can't see that white up. You can't see my thumb move. It's really invisible. So what's really great now is the kicker is it's the same thing as if I hit equals in the first phase. It's now locked, and they can't get rid of that number. So sometimes I'll either go back into the shake one more time, or I'll do this twist, which is the same thing. It's actually kind of easier. I'm going to roll the phone forward, hit it with my middle finger, and then flip the phone. Now, I dropped that, but I'm also over a table, and I'm okay with that. Don't do this if they don't have a case or if you're not over carpet or a couch or something, because I get afraid sometimes when I do it. So all I have to do is roll, hit clear, and then flick it with my thumb, and it goes. And a lot of times I just practice this to get used to it. It kind of comes up, and it's my thumb that hits it that rotates the phone. I'm not flicking it with my fingers. My thumb is hitting that phone. So as I rotate forward, I'm going to hit clear, and then it goes. Another variation of a clear is with one hand, is I'm going to hit clear and twist the phone. So let's do 4 7s. So we can see it. There's the 7s. And now it clears. It's the same exact thing. I'm just going to hit the clear button right before I turn. So clear, and then throw. It goes completely unnoticed. You can't see it. It's quite incredible. So those are 2 variations that I didn't do in the live performance. But for the last one, sometimes I'll do, if I'm a little bit afraid, you can even put your thumb here, hit clear, and toss it as another way. Just as long as your fingers never feel like they're near that clear, which is really incredible. Because even in that shake, you see my fingers immediately retract to hide the 7. So the first half, I do this trick all the time. It fools every single person that I do it to. It's really fun. Borrowed phone, has to be an iPhone. I've tried it with the old update before I went to these circular buttons. You can't do it with an Android because they have a delete button that gets rid of numbers. It's not a swipe system. There's a button that says delete. I'm sure you can play around with that and maybe abuse it by hitting the delete button as you're swiping here like that. I haven't played with it because I have an iPhone, but it's completely possible. And I would say I did this at a walk-around gig at a wedding, and a lot of people have iPhones. So even if you're with a group of like 2 people and you say, someone have an iPhone, one of them may have an Android, but the other one may have an iPhone. So you're going to find more opportunities to perform this than you think you will just because it uses an iPhone. And since you don't have to own the iPhone in order to do this trick, it kind of makes it better. Because you can easily just go, someone have an iPhone and just do it. It's also really good because you never have to open their phone. You can do it from the screen by swiping up, hitting orientation lock, and going straight to the calculator. So they'll never feel like you're getting into their business, I guess. So when I borrow a phone, that's the first thing I say. I say, can I borrow your phone? And they say, great. I say, I'm not going to open the phone. You don't need to open it. I'm not going to look at any pictures, emails. I'm just going to hit orientation lock, and I'm going to go straight to the calculator. And then I just do the trick. And the second I finish with the flick, I just turn the phone and I hand it right back at them. And you'd be surprised, nobody ever goes back to trying to swipe. It never happens. Lauren didn't do it. All Lauren did was she did this and she went, how are the numbers disappearing? So the swipe kind of completely goes past their head because they're just thinking about the last thing, which was, making the number disappear. You don't have to use sevens because that's the first thing I'm going to get emails about. What if I don't want to use sevens? Don't have to use sevens. You can use, I would say 7, 4, or 1 because they're the closest to your middle finger that you could do it with 4. Oops. That if I did up, I could throw, I'm not used to it. I can get rid of that. My finger's right on 4. As I toss that up, I just hit the 4. And you could probably do it with 1. You just can't do it with the other numbers. 7's kind of easy because it's in the same position as the clear's going to be. I just have to move up a little bit and then it goes. Or I can throw it and it's there. Or if I move up a little bit, it clears. So it's not, I recommend 7s because it's right next to the clear button. It's much easier. Yes, do this. Everyone should be doing this trick. Do this trick. Do it! Don't tell people how it's done, but do it. Don't share it on YouTube. I am such a YouTube troll, as I will find you if you expose this. I will hunt you down. So I've been doing Alice in Wonderland for quite a while now, and every so often a new idea comes up. And this one came up that I discovered because it solves a problem that I couldn't figure out the solution to. And that was, after I perform the trick, people always take their phone out and then they try it themselves. And when they see that the number disappears, they feel like they've figured out the entire trick. And then they kind of go, well, I know the whole trick. So I figured out a way to stop that right at the top. When you borrow the phone, you do the routine as normal. You do the first swipe and the second swipe. And then you say, well, that's just technology. Look it. You put one more 7 and hand it to somebody to wipe, and they'll wipe that 7 away. Now, everyone will be shocked by it, but you go, I told you it was just technology, right? It's just technology, it's software, it's not magic. And when I take the phone back, I hit equals, and now I do this. But this is when it looks like magic. You'll notice that it doesn't wipe anymore. And you can hand it back, and people will not be able to wipe. So now it starts to feel like, oh my goodness, he showed me how it was done. But now it really feels like magic because all of a sudden now I can't do it. So you take the phone back after they realize it doesn't swipe, and you just hit 7, 7, and now you're set up for the rest of the routine the way it's taught. You go down here, you toss it up, you catch it, you flick, you shake, and it disappears. And now because you immediately approach the idea that, that's how you do it, people don't think about it at the end. And at the end of the routine, people will take out their phones and you'll watch them do this. Because that's all they remember because they know that's how that works. But they just don't understand how the rest works. So it's a much better approach, and I promise you'll get better reactions and people more attentive. The second you snap and realize that it doesn't wipe anymore, people now are just right on board for the rest of your routine. So do it that way. I know that's not how we filmed it, but many months and days later, we figured out this. And so I just wanted to add this on right before we get this published and stuff so you get the real, the best version possible to do at your gigs. I'm going to shuffle the cards first. This trick doesn't just use me. I have a magician friend. He lives in Orange County. Is really far away. We're in LA. It's really far away. It'll make sense in a bit. So I have 52 cards. I want you to name any card that you see. Any card.
You had 2 of hearts.
2 of hearts. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. 2 of hearts. There's the 2 of hearts. Take the 2 of hearts out. And you could have named any of these cards, but 2 of hearts. Remember that. I'm going to put the 2 of hearts right about in the middle. Okay, perfect. Now, it's time for my friend to help us out. His name's Nathan. I'm going to give him a call. And,
Okay. Wait, am I going to talk to him? I'm excited.
Hey, Rob, what's up?
Hey, this is Lauren.
Oh, hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Do you have a British accent?
Scottish. Don't worry about it. How can I help you? Lauren, was it?
Yeah. So I'm doing this magic trick, and I have this card in mind, and I was just wondering if you knew what it was.
Ah, gotcha. All right. By any chance, are you holding a deck of cards in your hand?
No.
You're not.
They're near her.
But they're near me.
Oh, excellent. Can you pick up the deck of cards, please?
Sure.
Here's what I'm going to have you do. I want you to hold them face down in your hand,
Okay.
and I want you to deal them one at a time, face up onto the table into a single pile, and you're going to call out the names of those cards as you go through them.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So start from the top. For the first card, go ahead and tell me what the first card is.
Do I say like 6 of clubs?
Yeah, six of spades.
Oh, spades. 6 of spades.
All right, good. And then the next
2 of
one,
diamonds.
keep on going through them.
Okay, cool. 2 of diamonds.
Sorry, 6 of spades was the first one. What's the next one?
2 of diamonds.
Uh-huh.
2 spades. Jack of diamonds. 3 of hearts. 8 of diamonds.
Okay, so you said 3 of hearts just now?
Yeah.
So I think your card is also a heart then. Go ahead and turn over the next card.
8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds. Okay, so that means that it's an even number. Turn over the next card.
That's so weird. 3 of spades. 3 of diamonds.
3 of spades. Okay, hold on. 3 of spades. Your card is the 2 of hearts.
How did you know that?
It's magic.
It's magic. Okay. Nathan.
That's so cool.
We're gonna call you back in a second, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. All right, talk to you
All right,
later.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
No way.
So here's what we're gonna have you do right now. Open your phone. I'm gonna give you his number. Okay, I'll hide it from the camera.
Okay.
So there it is, right there.
Okay. 4. Okay.
Perfect. That way, you can now do it from your phones because I don't want you to think it's like some type of app or anything. So we'll do it again. I'm gonna shuffle the cards. I want you to think of any card right now. Do you have a card in mind?
Yeah.
Okay, what card? Name another.
10
card.
of diamonds.
10 of diamonds. 10 of diamonds. 10 of diamonds. There's the 10 of diamonds. Once again, you could have picked any card, but you said the 10 of diamonds. Once again, I'm going to put the 10 of diamonds right in the middle. Now, what I want you to do this time, which is a little weird, go ahead and cut the deck once. Perfect. And go ahead and call Nathan now.
Okay. This is so weird.
It's a little freaky. I know. It's like long distance magic.
Long distance magic. I like that.
This is Nathan. How can I help you?
Hey Nathan, it's Lauren again.
Ah, excellent. Hello, Lauren.
Hey, so I have a new card.
Oh, all right. You've got a new card.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you've got a deck of cards in front of you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Have you shuffled you cut the cards or did you shuffle them?
I cut them.
You cut them. All right. Good. So what I want you to do then is I want you to pick up those cards and I want you to go ahead and once again turn over the cards one by one and tell me what those cards are.
A king of hearts.
Uh-huh.
Ace of
So
clubs.
it's a red card. Okay, it's a red card.
It's a
Then
club.
turn over the next card.
Dang, he's good. Ace of clubs.
Ace of clubs. Clubs go to diamond. So it's a diamond.
Yeah.
All right. Turn over the next card.
5 of clubs.
5 of clubs. Twice of 10. 10 of diamonds.
How is he doing this?
We're gonna do it one more time, Nathan. We'll call you back in a second, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
great.
Okay,
Hang up on Nathan. Okay, do me a favor. We're gonna do it one more time. Once again, I'm gonna shuffle the cards here.
Okay.
I'll give the real mix. I don't want you to think there's like any stack or anything, as we call it in the business. Once again, you're gonna name any card, whichever card you want, out loud.
I pick the 8 of hearts.
Okay, 8 of hearts. Okay, here we go. It's right at the top, so we can leave it there, right at the top. I want you to cut the deck once, losing the 8 of hearts, finish the deck, the cut, and shuffle the cards up now. That way it's really lost. It's not like it's going to be sitting on top or there's not like a card near it that Nathan might know or anything. As many times as you want, I want you to make sure that the 8 of hearts is really lost in there.
All right, here's my lucky numbers. We're going to do 3 times.
3 is your lucky number, okay. Perfect. Yep, great. And go ahead and call him one more time. Let's see if we've got a real miracle on our hands. Okay.
This is fun. I like it.
Lauren, hello.
Hey, Nathan, I'm back.
Hello. Excellent. All right. So let's try this again then, shall we?
Yes.
So you got back to the cards. Yes. Did you shuffle or cut this time?
Both.
You did both. All right. Excellent. Go ahead then and turn over that top card and tell me what it is.
6 of clubs.
What now?
6 of clubs.
6 of clubs. That means that your card is the 7 of hearts. No, sorry, wait. 8 of hearts. Your card's the 8 of hearts.
No, there's no way he's getting this.
It's a miracle.
No.
It's a miracle. It's a brand new marked deck. It tells you. No, it's not. It's weird, right?
It's Bluetooth controlled, and it goes to my phone and tells me what it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow.
No, my phone's off. My phone. It's
I know,
not on.
is he, are we on a 3-way or something?
No.
Okay, that's impressive.
Because you called him. You called him from your phone.
True. Okay, well, thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
No problem. All right. Talk to you later, Rob.
Go back to saving the world.
Okay. Bye.
This is card weighting. If that doesn't give you the method, then you need to work on your puns. So card weighting is a trick that was shown to me by Jim Steinmeier. He showed me this code that he used to use for the first phase of this. I'll go phase by phase and we'll talk about the phone and what's happening. So the code is, they name any card. So for instance, they name the 2 of spades. I'm going to look for where the 2 of clubs is. Luckily it's right there. And I'm going to move the mate of the card that's named to the 2nd position. So I'm going to take out their card. I see the 2 of clubs. I'm going to just kind of grab you. You can even spread. It doesn't have to be too big of a deal because it'll go completely unnoticed. And I'm going to move the mate to the 2nd position. So now their card that they named goes into the center, and it's all done. So I'll now call Nathan. I have 3 people that I call. I have Nathan Fan and the other brothers, Daryl Davis and Daryl Williams, who have been gracious enough to, this has been a collaborative trick. They've been gracious enough to let me publish this. So what's happening now is as they're talking on the phone, they're going to have the spectator turn over the first card and name it out loud. King of Hearts, 2 of Clubs, and right there, the person on the other end of the phone now knows what card was named just because they're going to say the mate of the 2nd card. So now they can keep going through. They'll probably never make it to the 2. So we usually go, stop, 4 of hearts. That makes me think of, it's a not a heart. It's a black card. Then 3, okay, that means it's if it's not a club, it's a spade, and jack means it's the 2 of clubs, or the 2 of spades. So we kind of do this false explanation into it, but it's still really good, and it really throws the spectator's mind for a loop. They kind of can't understand how that happened, which is 100%. I've done this for magicians. We fooled magicians with this galore. And if you watch the video, you'll see every phase that we do this is kind of more mind-boggling and destroys what looks like the previous method. So it's really, really good. So that was the only thing that was shown to me was that method. So I expanded upon it, and now we got method phase 2 and phase 3. It's called card weighting because you're just doing call weighting. So what's happening is after I hang up on Nathan, I don't actually hang up the phone. I tilt it this way. I'm going to call him now. We're going to make him do this, even if he's not paying attention. He has no idea what's happening. So let's call him.
Hey, Rob.
Hello. Okay, so we're in the explanation right now, and literally middle of filming, and I'm going to keep going as this, okay?
Oh, okay. So you need me to stay on the line?
Yeah, just stay on the line really fast. So,
Okay, sure.
So now I'm going to say, this is really weird, but now I'm going to say, I'll talk to you later, Nathan, and I'm not going to hang up the phone, but I'm going to leave it on speaker, or if it wasn't on speaker, I'll then hit the speaker. And what Nathan's about to do, which he's going to do right now, is he's going to hit mute on his side. So now it's completely silent. Now on an iPhone, now he unmuted it. On an iPhone, if it's not on speaker and you go to close the phone will hang up. So the solve this is it has to be on speaker, and then you can close the phone like that and it won't hang up. So that means Nathan, or the person on the other end, has to hit mute on their side. So all the sound stops going. So Nathan, hit mute for me. And you hear it's completely silent now. You can't hear him wrestling or anything. But he can still hear everything I'm saying right now. So I then go to I open my phone, I go to contacts, whatever, and I'm going to give the spectator that number. But I'm not going to show them the phone because they might see he's still on the line, the green. So I'm just going to say, we'll blur that out. What we do. But I'll just say Nathan's phone number to the spectator, or they can look at it and write it down. And now all I'm going to do is close the phone. The phone is still on, and if Nathan hits unmute right now, Nathan hit unmute. He's drunk. He's asleep and drunk right now. Either way, he's still on the line, as you can tell. So now, because the phone in that example was sitting on next to my leg, you can also put it in your jacket, face up, so that the microphone's close, or you can just set it on the table like that. As long as the microphone can kind of in an area it can get picked up. We've realized you can put this in a lot of places and it'll be fine. Because it's out of the play space, nobody thinks that it's in play. So it really helps avoid that. Now he's sobered up now. Nathan, are you there?
Yes. Sorry about that. My phone kept giving me notifications like, leave for this place. And I was like, So I couldn't get back to my menu. Yeah. So, hello.
So now Nathan is back on the phone. So here's also the really big key that the person who's on the other end has to do. Once that person calls, so let's say, so for that instance, Lauren called Nathan, he switched over to answer her call. So it's still going to be silent on my side. The second he's done with her and she hits hang up, or she hangs up on him, his phone's going to turn back on my side. He has to hit mute again the second it turns back, or else I'm going to hear him. So that's key. So you have to always hit mute. So he'll hit mute when I pretend to close the phone like that. The spectator will call Nathan. He will answer the phone, talk. Once he's done and reveals the card, which we'll go over in a second, they hang up, and he's got to hit mute again when he comes back to my side, because it will unmute him when he comes back, and that's key, or else you're going to hear him. So then we do the third phase. They name a card. She calls him again. As she's calling him, no, there's no heat on you. It's about the cards, about the spectator. I just open my phone very casually, and bye, Nathan. He's on mute, but he's going to say bye.
Bye. Did you need me?
No, now I'm going to hang up. I'm in the third phase.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. So I'm going to hang up on him while he's on the phone with the spectator. So now there's no noise or anything. And because there's no heat on this, I can just pick this up, hit mute, come back down. Or I'm sorry, I can come up, hang up on him, open Facebook. As the trick's still going, kind of tilt down, Oh, is Nathan getting the trick? Oh, that's great. Oh, okay, great. So now it seems like I've opened my phone to check a message or something, and it has no idea that I've just called or hung up on him at least. So that's the method. So that means in the second phase, when I say name a card, he can just hear her. So if she says 2 of hearts, and I repeat it just in case. I say the 2 of hearts. Great. And now I'm going to do all this bull crap and pretend to move the mate over to the top again, put that in the center, and I say, okay, the 2 of hearts is lost, and I just reemphasize it again. So now the phases build on what look like more shuffling, and that's key. So now she's going to cut the cards for the second phase. It does nothing because he knows the card. But what it might do is it might get her card up to the top or close to it. In this case, it did. So that when she calls Nathan and he goes, turn over the next card, she goes 2 of hearts, he may just say, oh, that's your card. Or if it's, 3 away, he'll just say, keep turning cards over and name them. 4 of hearts, queen of diamonds, 2 of hearts. Oh, does that mean your card is the 2 of hearts? So the cut makes it a little bit like you're shuffling more, or it makes the method kind of hide more. So the third phase is the same exact thing. She says any card, let's say the ace of clubs. I say the ace of clubs. I look for the mate, the ace of spades, for no reason other than to make it copacetic with the other phases. We put it in the center just like the other phases, but now I'm going to tell her to shuffle it. So in the minds of magicians and lay people, this now feels more fair than before. She named a card, but now the card's getting lost, shuffled, and cut. So there's no way there's any code or anything because, the card's a complete mix. It can't be a stack. But once again, we just, the other person calls and tells them to do any amount of kind of random stuff that seems like it's like a code. So sometimes when Daryl's are doing the trick and I get called is I'll have them, I say cut the deck anywhere and deal the first 3 cards face up. Great. This first card is the 6 of spades. That makes me think it's a black card. That makes me think it's a spade. The jack makes me sure it is the 6 of spades or whatever. So now you're just kind of making it feel like it's bigger than it is, and the method is really, I'm just listening. The secret, the Darryls did this on their Murphy's lecture with Chris Oberly, and the secret is, do not repeat information that you've heard that would be otherwise impossible to know. Let me show you what I mean. If you have that that Magic Murphy's lecture, Chris Oberly says, "Oh, I'm going to overhand shuffle," and he does it, and then he goes, "Oh, did I screw this up? I didn't know if I was supposed to overhand shuffle or you know what? I'll just leave it. I won't." So I could have easily said something about the overhand shuffle, or let's say he says someone says the Jack of Spades, and then they go, "You know what? I changed my mind. I want the King of Spades." If I were to mention the Jack of Spades, the third phase, or any of the phases, you would know that I was listening because I knew the first choice that was made. If it's just the card that was named, it feels more like there's some type of secret code or something's happening around you have no idea. It feels more magical. So don't abuse listening in. Like, if they say a name of someone, don't reveal that name. Like, you're going to want to. You have to hide. You have to hold all of that back and not reveal anything that you heard that is not just the card, because it really gives away the method. And in that performance, she said, "Oh, I think he's on the line." And because I had hung up on him already, I was able to go, "No, you can see no one's on the line. It has been off." So that may happen. You saw it on the camera. It rarely happens. Trust me, that rarely happens. But you've hung up on them far before then, so there's no way that method will come up. So key is, you're listening. You have to hit mute both times. Don't repeat any information that's not just the card, because it will reveal the method. And if you're on the other line, make sure it seems like a procedure that gets you to the card that they named. If you kind of just go, turn over the top card, or your card's the 4 of spades, it's not as good. But really building it up to that. Each phase should feel like, it's some other code. It should feel like you're breaking the method down each time. Like, oh, maybe it's just this, and then it's not, and then it's not. So that's key. Secrets. Those are the secrets. Secrets is make it feel bigger than it is. All right, we're going to use something we all have on our phones, the stopwatch. Great. There's a very interesting study I read on Facebook, where I get my news from. There were 2 groups of people taking the same test, and they were placed in 2 different rooms. One of the rooms had a timer running up, large timer they could all see. What they found out at the end of the experiment was the people who had the timer running in their room did significantly worse on the test than people who didn't. So we're going to try something. First, I got to get rid of the jokers because I don't need them for this trick. Fantastic. I'm going to shuffle the cards a little bit, and Freddie, I'm going to drop cards down, and you just say stop whenever you want to.
Stop.
Stop right there. Perfect. We'll take 3 random cards. Doesn't matter from where they are. Doesn't matter. Ace, 8 of spades, ace of diamonds, 2 of diamonds. We can try to remember all 3 of them or just the suits. It doesn't matter. Ace, 8, ace, 2. Some of them are diamonds. Great. The cards get lost in the center. Hold on, I got moisture in my hands. Now we're going to lose the cards in. We're going to give cuts and shuffles and really lose them. The goal is to try to find, the first one is the 8 of spades. Next is the ace of diamonds. It comes from a really fancy cut. There's the ace of diamonds. And finally, the 2 of diamonds. Now, some people think if I give it this fancy cut, it'll appear. But I just need to give it one simple cut. That gets me 1 card. The 2 of diamonds, all 3 cards found. Now here's what's really interesting. That's probably kind of bull, and you really don't care about that. But I'll show you what I really practiced and studied. Was you can see the time is 1 minute and 28 seconds. If I rearrange this, that's 1 minute and 28 seconds. A perfect time. 1 minute, 28 seconds. And that's what I learned from that article. It's really, it's just practice and just hitting. That trick couldn't get any better, but that's all I'm saying. I'm usually in a group of people that'd be screaming and stuff, but there was Oh, that. I mean, like, hypothetically, that trick could be better if I had, let's say, the 37, if I had that. So, you know what? We should probably cut, and then next time I'll come up with a method, and I'll re-release it, and I'll come up with a method for that. That'd make the do you want it? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Just let's just do it. Let's just see what. Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. Oh God. Oh no. Oh God. Oh. This is a routine that the other brothers and I have come up with that's been many years in the process. This is super secret. Don't tell anybody. If you're still watching this thing, don't tell anybody it's on here. It'll make sense later. But I'll show you my version because I'm sure they have their own crazy other brothers version of it. It's a very simple setup. First is the cards are set up, which are, for me, ace to 8. And those go at the top. And then it doesn't matter if there's jokers in or not because I'm going to pull out the 3 and the 7 either way for the ending. So here's the secret. Here's the secret. It's a photo. Oh, it's a photo. I'm just in photos. It's a photo. Oh, it's a photo. So you go through your stopwatch. Oh, what's key also is you delete any running apps. So the only apps I have running are photos and now the stopwatch. So what you do, it's still running. You have the clock run up to whatever number you want. We found about a minute 20, minute 30 is right in the pocket. Anything kind of longer than that feels really long, or shorter than that you have to rush. And you'll realize that it's just a practice thing. I just am going to look at this thing and stop it at 128 every time. By the time I get to about 120, I keep kind of my eye on it until I see 28. So let's say pretend it was a minute. So we're at 23, 24, and I'm going to do the card trick, and I'm going to say, and that's your card, the Jack of Diamonds. I'm just going to look over and hit stop, and I stopped it. 1 second is actually a long time in order to hit stop. So I just lost my stack. So after you get to whatever number you want, you just take a screenshot of it, and then you set it up so it's in your photos. Make sure the white border's not on there, and just hit the button. There are 2 small discrepancies that are going to happen. One is what time it is and how much your battery is. I took this at 8:56 in the evening with like 80% battery. I'm at 5:48 with 7% battery. Nobody notices that, 100%, I promise you. So that's set up on the phone. I usually have just the photos open, and it's just sitting there. So when I start the trick, I will show them I go into stopwatch. That's key. People think it's an app, and I find it a lot better if they get to watch you open that. So now it's just a kind of a whatever card revelation you want to do. 3 cards picked out, 3 cards found, and that's it. The more kind of not throwing away that trick, but not making it that big of a deal, makes the stopwatch that much stronger. So I usually start the trick at about 30 seconds. That little story I tell usually takes me about 20 seconds to go. So what I'll do is usually during this time, if I have forgotten, is I will say, I'm going to remove the 2 jokers because I don't need those. And I've just removed the 3 and the 7 because that's not going to change. And now I'm going to tell the story about the people taking a test and blah, 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 made up story. And then when I get back to about 121, I'm going to do an overhand shuffle, in-jogging the first card. And if I pick up that in-jog, my 3 force cards are right there waiting for a timing force. So I pick up the in-jog. I've lost the in-jog. Now I'm going to just do a standard timing force, whatever force you want to do to get 3 cards. You do a riffle force. That stops me at 3 random cards. People can memorize them, whatever they want to do. You have 3 people pick a card out. It's up to them. I'm going to lose them in the center, and I will go over this move afterwards. But I've put the cards in. I've created a step so I can remember where those cards are. I'm going to pick them back up and now cut them to the top. I'm now going to do whatever revelations to reveal those. And I'm just keep looking at the clock. It's at a minute 10 right now, so I've got 28 seconds. 18 seconds. So there's the second one. Now I realize I'm at 1:15. I'm about to have 10 seconds left. So I'm going to kind of take my time on this one. 20 seconds, 21, 23, 24, 25, 26. There's the last card, and now I'm going to hit stop. So it's really easy. You'll realize if you just try it once, it's very simple. And you don't have to panic by constantly looking at it. It's very nice and easy. So the other thing that's really good is putting the phone out of the play space. No one's really paying attention to it. Nobody cares about it. It's all about these 3 cards that were picked and finding them in a more spectacular way than the previous one. So that when you hit stop, and it feels like, ta-da, that's the trick. Sometimes it gets applause. Sometimes I've had people kind of go, meh. So I go, okay, that's great. Now I'm going to show them the number, and what's key to me on an iPhone is the milliseconds is just as big as the other seconds. Daryl Davis uses his Android, and the milliseconds are smaller than the other numbers. So he can really fairly show 128, and nobody kind of pays it. No one jumps ahead to the end of the trick here. So the way I found it to avoid people jumping to the end saying, oh, the milliseconds are right there, is I pick up the phone very fair, so you know I'm not doing anything. My index finger is going to point at 128, just like this. But if I move my finger right over the milliseconds, I can't even touch it, nothing's going to happen. And just put my finger right on top of it, it looks like I'm just pointing to 128. And all I'm doing is I'm covering the milliseconds. So I go 128, and I already set the cards up like this. Sometimes I put a little space so they can see 128, but I cover that finger. So I come here, my finger covers those numbers, and I say, look at that, 128. I'm going to show you exposed view, 128. As I tilt the phone back, I'm going to hit double tap, I'm going to switch to photos, and I'm going to drop the phone on the table. So I'll do it from the front. That's 128, a perfect time. And I've switched it because you can see the milliseconds have switched and my battery's recharged. Now, I'll normally, that's a trick in itself, I normally put the phone right in between the milliseconds and the seconds. That way you can see those two cards, and you sometimes the people's brain will do that. Here's the hardest part of this trick. I'm telling you, it's the hardest part of this trick. I learned this from Daryl Davis. Do not talk about those two cards. Do not mention them. Do not say, oh, what if those were the 3 and the 7? Do not do it. I sit here. I've watched him do it. I've done it. I've just sat here and just shuffled. I don't say anything. The trick's over. There it is, 128. It's pretty good. It's a good trick, yeah? Oh, it's a great trick. I just wait. I've had conversations about something else and not even brought that up. Eventually, I promise you eventually, someone will say, you know what would be great if those were the 3 and the 7? And I always respond with, oh my God, that would be so good. Next time I do this trick, I should come up with a way to do that. But it would be so hard to stop at the millisecond. You know, that's impossible. But next time, I'm gonna try to come up with something like that. That would be good. And I just ignore it. And I just bulldoze their idea because it feels like their idea. And I've done many times have I performed this trick. Has the person said that, and then at the end of the trick, after I reveal it's 3-7, they go, that was my idea. I'm the one who said, what if those were those? What if those were the 3 and the 7? So it feels like it's like the dream of a magician that someone says, well, hey, why don't you vanish this? Right? They're challenging you to do something, and obviously you can't do it because that's impossible. But this is one of those moments where they've challenged you, and instead of being like, yeah, it is I always just go, man, it would be good. And I just wait, and I wait a little bit longer, and people start really getting anxious about what those are because I've thrown it away. So of course it still must be the jokers, and I don't make a big deal. And then I kind of always go, hypothetically, what would you do if hypothetically if I turn those over, it was a 3 and a 7. Hypothetically, what would you do? And I always ask that, and I always get the best response. I've heard people say, I'd hand you my wallet and I'd walk away. Or I would go, I would quit my job. I would just quit my job right now because that would be the most impossible thing I've ever seen. And then after they say that, I still don't turn it over because I don't want this. That's such a, for lack of a better term, a douchey move to be like, oh, you would? Yeah, well, quit your job now. There's this great moment of letting it build for themselves. So the second they say, oh, I would do this, I go, oh, that's great. Wow. But hypothetically, I should come up, because if I came up with a method for that, that would be a better trick. You know what? One of these days I will. And eventually someone will just be so anxious about it. And they go, well, can I do it? And I always go, well, yeah, go ahead. You can do it. And they'll turn those over and they'll see it's the 3 and the 7 or whatever number you had stopped at. And it's such a strong finish. Honestly, this is one of the strongest effects I've ever done. I still do. People feel like this is kind of a joke to me, the 128, at least for this short. I've seen someone do it at 2 minutes. And they take more time with the revelations, and it turns into a trick. To me, this is kind of throwaway, and it's about the revelation of the number at the end. So this is kind of, ta-da, all right. Well, let me show you really. And then I build this up to be like, ta-da, 128. And then the trick's over. And now anything after this happens completely in the spectator's mind. Completely. They think they've come up with this idea to challenge you. They think it changes because they've said it. And it's such a strong effect that I do all the time. Impromptu, borrow a deck of cards as long as that's set up. It's really, really strong. So now I'm going to show you another method for this. That was my original method before the Daryls came up with the photo. And that is, if you want to do it from a borrowed phone, you can. So I will show you what that looks like. Let's say if I have two jokers, I'll put the two jokers down. Or I can put any two cards as long as I know which two cards they are. So for funsies, I will do 2 4s. Put 2 4s down, and I'm going to put them closer to me opposed to away from me. And I'm going to do the trick as normal. Ace 2 8. I'm going to force, well, I'll talk about the story until about 30 seconds. So the goal is to try to get as close to 44 milliseconds as possible. If I can't, I'm just going to do a top change for those two cards from a borrowed phone. So I lose the ace, the 2, and the 8. I'm going to shuffle a few times because I'm just wasting time right now. Great. Here goes the first one. I'm going to go through the middle and cut out one card. Ooh, the 2 of diamonds. Card number 1. We still have the ace of diamonds and the 8. I'm sorry, the ace of hearts and the 8. And I just take my time. If I need a milk time, I'll go slower, or I can go a little bit faster but reveal slower. So I'm going to do a false cut here. I'm going to take out the next one. See, I'm still milking time because I have so much time to get to 128. There's the ace. So now I just need the 8 of spades. The 8 is, don't do that in front of a spectator. So I've still got about 20 seconds left. So I'm going to shuffle a little bit more. Maybe I'll say, oh, sometimes, people think if I do a fancy cut, it'll show up. But it's not about that. It's about a simple cut. I'm just looking at the timer. I've got 10 seconds left. I'm going to put that down. Now I've got officially 10 seconds left. I can show you all of these cards. And then with 4 seconds to go, I'll show you the remaining card, the 8. So I've just stopped the timer on a borrowed phone, and it's 49 milliseconds. Because I put 1 4 down, all I need to do is top change one of those cards for a 9. So I don't change that. I still reveal this. I say, well, look, isn't this crazy? That's 1 minute and 28 seconds. As that happens, everyone kind of freaks out. I'm literally just going to go through this and move a 9. I'm either going to cull it to the top, or I can just cut it to the top. So now I have a 9 on top. I'm going to pick up one of these 4s, push one down as I top change for the 9, put that down, and just kind of leave it. Or I'll leave it here. That top change, it's so nice. You really just kind of, the trick's over. No one's really paying attention over here. So you can really do a great top change to just whatever. Nothing's happening over here. It's quite amazing. And then eventually I do the same thing. I just wait and let someone talk about it. And then from a borrowed phone, you have 49. So now what happens if both those numbers are like 5 and 7 and I'm nowhere near? I'm just going to do a double top change. So I'm going to get a 4 and a 9 to the top. I'm going to get a break on them. I'm going to square these two cards up on the deck. And then I'm going to just switch them. My ring finger is going to grab the two cards that are on the break. My thumb's going to push down for that 7 and that 5. And I'm just going to switch these two and put them down. So now I've just switched out the 4 and the 9. Or the 5 and the 7 for the 4 and 9. I'll do it full speed. I've got the 4 and 9 in top. I'm going to catch a break. I'm going to square those. And I'm just going to keep talking. And it's going to be like nothing happened. And I've just switched out 2 cards for that. Pros and cons. I have to touch these cards, which make it not as fair. But I would say the moment is there to do it because the trick's over. And you don't have to touch the phone. And it's a borrowed phone. So that's the pro. It's a borrowed phone. And with a borrowed phone, it could be any number. It doesn't have to be a minute 28. You can do anything because you're not shooting for a goal. But I would say either one's really strong. You'd be surprised how nobody thinks this is weird. I mean, no one remembers. I've had so many people I do this trick to. No one remembers I picked up the phone. If you do that trick and immediately tell someone, what happened, they will never say you picked up the phone. It's quite incredible. But another big subtlety I do sometimes is after I finish and I reveal 128.37, and the trick's over and people go nuts, I really wait a little bit longer. I take the phone back and I'm going to switch it back to the actual stopwatch and I'm going to hit start so it keeps going. And then I'm going to put the phone down. So now it feels like it wasn't an app because I just hit start and it's still going. So then I'll hit stop and I'll go to the home. Don't try closing that because your photos will pop up and that'll show up. Once you're done, just hit home and it just goes to the home screen and you're fine. And the trick's over. Highly recommend it. Very strong. Do it with whatever numbers you want. You can try to time it so it's the same thing. Once in a blue moon, you will hit the number. I did a wedding a while ago, and I stopped it right on my number, 37, and I didn't have to do anything. I just turned the phone like that. I showed them 128.37 or 128, and I still waited for them to talk about these two numbers, and they did. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm going to try to find that guy and ask him to retell me what happened because it was so fair. It was quite amazing. So we don't have a name for this trick. I don't know what they call it. It's just the stopwatch trick to me. It's always been the stopwatch trick. I don't have a punny name for that one because it's just so, I don't care about the name. It's so good. It's so strong. I absolutely love it. I lecture on it. So do it.